to the first edition in its kind. It's a program which can be broadcast on CBN4 on a monthly basis, and we're going to be looking at issues of public health and environmental health. There's a number of issues in the environment that we have to talk about. Right now, you have cancers as some of the leading cause of death: cancers, diabetes, hypertension. These are what they call the chronic diseases. But we also have the communicable diseases that's related to areas like typhoid, which is not a major problem again, gastroenteritis. You have the mosquito-borne illnesses like dengue, yellow fever, and these are the areas, Zika, that we will be zeroing on. Look at diseases that related to food safety, salmonellosis. You have diseases like again gastroenteritis, which is very prevalent in Dominica. So we'll be having on a monthly basis a discussion on an area of public health, and we really want the public to know the information we are saying out there is for people to take personal action. Really, we give you information that you can use to change behaviors so that we can see a better Dominica and a more healthy Dominica. Today with me is Mr. Malcolm St. Rose. Mr. St. Rose is from the Drug Division of the Ministry of Health, and he is really a drug abuse prevention officer. So I'd like Mr. St. Rose to introduce himself and tell us something about yourself, Mr. Malcolm.
Okay, greetings. Thank you, Scotty, for this opportunity. As you said, my name is Malcolm St. Rose. I'm a substance abuse prevention officer attached with the Ministry of Health, the National Drug Abuse Prevention Unit, to be exact. I've been in the service for a little while. I'm quite young still, but I did a stint as a qualified school teacher. We attend qualified teacher status with the Dominica Teachers Training College in conjunction with the University of the West Indies, part of the university's teacher certification program. I have been engaged with the National Drug Abuse Prevention Unit from the June of 2002. I really love what I do. I really love the opportunity to serve my country in yet another capacity. Currently, I am in what we call the focal point for alcohol for the nation. And also, I am associated with something that we refer to as PROCE, and that is the acronym, the Spanish acronym for the training and certification in drugs and violence prevention and so forth, which was a program put in place by OAS-CCAD, Inter-American Drug Agency, in 2006. So this is really what I do. It really is rewarding to know that you can go to people, interact with people. People can find help and solution in you or the programs that you offer, whether it's on an individual basis or because that you're part of a winning team. So it's a pleasure, man.
Well, it's nice to see that you're coming from a teacher's background, because you actually you were involved in shaping young minds.
Correct.
From an early beginning, and yes, it's good to know that you now have drifted into drug prevention, which I mean we are tackling the young minds, trying to avoid them to get themselves involved in drugs and alcohol abuse, and it's good to know that you have stepped up to that level.
Thank you, sir.
And can impact positively on the development of young people.
Thank you.
Yeah. But what do you consider to be drug abuse, drug and alcohol abuse? What do you consider this to be?
Okay. First of all, a drug by definition is any substance that changes the way in which the mind and the rest of the body works. Simply put, we can say a drug is a mind-altering substance. Now, drug abuse, some people have the idea that for a drug to be abused, it has to be taken repeatedly and viciously and increasingly and all of that thing. But drug abuse really means the intentional use of a drug to the extent that it affects you. So for example, let's just say somebody takes a drink of alcohol. Alcohol is a drug, by the way. Somebody takes a drink of alcohol knowing fully well that it has the potential of affecting them in all of those ways, drunkenness, and all of those kinds of things. So it is really the intentional. Drug abuse really refers to the intentional use of a drug to the point that it affects you, how you function, how you interact, how you relate to people, how you see yourself, and how you carry yourself. All right. So it means, therefore, that somebody can use a drug for one time or the first time, and it is still considered drug abuse because the intention was clear.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you look at intention as being one of the major factors in identifying and defining drug abuse.
Very well.
Right.
Yeah. Because on the contrary, there is a term, drug misuse, and drug misuse really refers to an unintentional use of a drug. So, for example, if you have a drug that is accessible to children, and the child takes the drug for something else, that would not have been drug abuse, but drug misuse. If you take a drug accidentally that was prescribed for somebody else, this is not drug abuse, but it is drug misuse. Although the result is the same, you'd get the same intoxicated feeling, the same high, and all of those things. But the fact that it is characterized by the intention, so that is what is key here.
Yeah, so we're talking about these drugs. What are some of the what do we consider some of the illegal substances you have around Dominica?
Yeah, well, first off, drugs are put generally in two main categories or two main groups. They could either be legal or illegal drugs. Drugs are further put into categories based on the effects on the body. So a drug that will cause a stimulation will be referred to as a stimulant drug. A drug that will depress the central nervous system will be called a depressant drug. So, we have categories of drugs.
So a depressant drug is like a drug like alcohol?
Alcohol is a depressant drug, but some people mistake alcohol for a stimulant because in the first few drinks, the initial use of the drug causes a level of stimulation. That's why people take it to loosen up.
Okay.
But by and large, alcohol is a depressant drug because the general and overall effect of alcohol on the human body is to depress the central nervous system. So you are correct, Scotty.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So an illegal drug is a drug that one can get in trouble with the law for. The word legal here tells you that it has to do with law. So a legal drug would be a drug that is quote unquote permitted by law. An illegal drug would be a drug that is against the law. All right. So a legal drug would include drugs like alcohol. As dangerous as it is a legal substance in the Commonwealth of Dominica. While I'm on this, I want to say this very strongly. Whereas alcohol is a legal drug, there are certain other things that are binding and that one needs to be aware of as far as alcohol is concerned, where the law it relates to the law. So, for example, and it's a fact that it is against the law, although alcohol is a legal drug, it is against the law to sell alcohol to a minor.
The minor.
It is also against the law to sell alcohol to somebody who is already drunk, who is already compromised.
Okay.
All right. A lot of people are not mindful of that. Although we have met a number of shopkeepers who say that they practice that, but everybody always practicing the right thing when they are questioned. But in the actuality, is that the case? But it is against the law on those two fronts. So alcohol is a legal drug. Tobacco products, tobacco cigarettes, they are also legal. Coca-Cola is legal. It's a drug. It contains caffeine. Coffee is also another example of a legal drug. An illegal drug, a drug that one could get in trouble with the law for, charged or arrested, whatever the case may be, would be a drug like marijuana, crack, cocaine, heroin, and stuff like that.
So these are the illegal drugs that we have in Dominica. Marijuana, for instance.
Yes.
Cannabis.
Yes.
I'm seeing this drug is being utilized and used generally all over the place. So sometimes I wonder whether it's illegal or illegal.
Yeah,
is it still illegal?
It is still illegal because it's on the books as an illegal substance,
Okay.
and somebody can get into trouble. You see, I think, Scotty, it's a lot of the discussion that is going on. Even around the world, you see that the quote unquote the ban has been lifted. A number of states have already gone through the process of legalizing marijuana. There's also the discussion of decriminalizing marijuana, and even closer to home. So people get those kinds of information, and it also creates a misinformation. Because, for example, 2 days ago, Antigua, has been discussing, and it was passed at the lower house level, a bill to decriminalize marijuana. But because the government of Antigua is looking to decriminalizing marijuana, and then it will go to another phase, and the Prime Minister, Honorable Gaston Dong, has said that it is important to do this because it helps the young people not get a criminal record and all of those things. But that was the Prime Minister of Antigua. That is not Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, and it does not relate directly to Dominica. We are not there yet.
With Dominica, I think CARICOM is looking to look at that as a
yes, it's up
they
for
look at it as
discussion.
an issue.
Yes, yes.
And Jamaica's already done legalize it to a certain extent. And I think eventually most countries will go to legalizing marijuana.
Yeah, and that should be the discussion.
Yeah,
the discussion to get in on that discussion.
People have to start understanding.
Yeah, but
these are the issues,
right,
and these are the advantages, and these are the disadvantages.
Sure.
So it's like alcohol. There's a big battle before to legalize alcohol.
Right.
Because alcohol was just not illegal all of a sudden.
Right.
It took some years for that to happen.
And lobbying.
Yeah. So that is
but the point I'm making, Scott, is that until such time, marijuana remains an illegal substance in the Commonwealth of Dominica.
Okay. So
and we have a responsibility to adhere to and to obey the laws.
The law.
And the laws have to be enforced. Yeah.
Okay. And what is the issue with crack cocaine and use in Dominica?
All right. Crack cocaine is still prevalent in the Dominican society. Crack is the derivative of cocaine powder. Yeah. I think the more common part of this drug is really crack, because it has become more affordable for people, and it is easier to conceal or to carry, and all of those things. And we recognize that it may be the drug that is responsible for a number of the people we refer to as paros in our streets. And it's a serious cause for concern, because it is said that any country with over 15 years of the presence of crack in its society is really on a bad path. Because what you find is that these crack addicts, they will do anything for the next fix. And that creates a great potential for danger in the life of other people, danger to damaging of property and all of those things. Because the fact is, the people who take crack are normally very callous. They tend not to have any kind of feeling.
No feeling at all.
Yeah, so they are cold and callous, and people like this are capable of doing anything. And I don't want to put any ideas in anybody's mind, so I will limit my comments on this.
No, I had the experience of having a brother that is on crack cocaine.
Right.
And I mean, he has been really a terrible. I have been having very terrible impact on my mother. Because you understand?
Yeah.
So this is another drug that is an easy drug to get for you to get away from.
That's right.
So when you get addicted to it,
yeah,
you become really addicted, and you will do anything to get money to buy it.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult problem to solve.
Yeah, true.
And I'm saying that we need to stem it from the source, where it's coming from.
Yeah.
We need to have a way to manage them, prevent it from entering the country.
Yeah. Yeah, because even just to add to this, when somebody takes or ingests cocaine powder, it takes about 15 minutes for the high to kick in, or using cocaine, the powder itself. But once somebody takes crack, that high kicks in seconds, my friend. You understand? And it gives a high that they say is second to none. I've not had that experience, and I trust that I will never have that experience. But that is equated, the high that somebody gets from crack is equated to 1,000 orgasms. So, Scotty, you can well imagine.
It's a good feeling.
You can well imagine.
So,
good is not the word.
Yeah, tremendous feeling.
Yes, sir.
One of them things you were saying that when you get that high, you will never get it again.
It eludes you, never get it. So that's why they keep searching for it. And the more they search, the deeper they dig into a life of decay and decadence. So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we take a break here, and for the next segment, when we go into some look at the public health significance of this alcohol and drug abuse globally, regionally, and internationally.
Good going, man.
Mam's Bakery and Supermarket is well over 20 years in existence, offering fresh bread daily, grocery items, which includes Mam's locally grown smoked chicken and smoked pork, and Caribbean cuisine on the weekends. And no doubt, Mam's Supermarket is joining in on the fun this Carnival 2018. Come visit Mom's Bar in Massac that is scheduled to open just in time for the celebration. Come on down to Mom's Supermarket and Bakery located near the highway in Massac, and rest assured our competitive pricing and of course the compelling aroma of the oven is gonna keep you coming back every day of the week. Mom's Supermarket. After a hurricane, one has to face so many problems. A leaking roof is just one of the many. Are you battling to keep in control of your household moles, rats, roaches, and termites creeping through your walls? Call National Pest and Termite Control and we will get the job done. National Pest and Termite Control, 440-2352, 275-2352, or 615-4240. National Pest and Termite Control.
Even billion dollar industry. First off, people recognize drug use, drug abuse, drug dealing as a very lucrative business. And I think that's what there's the luring factor in all of this. But one can never underscore or enough sufficiently highlight the cost that is associated with drug use, abuse, and drug dealing. For example, in the US alone, about $48 billion is spent annually going towards damages and all of those accidents and harm, injury, and even loss of productivity that result from things, even the use of alcohol and abuse of alcohol stemming from driving under the influence alone, you know, so that's an example. It is also reported that about 3 million people die globally as a result of drug use and abuse. I mean, the drug situation is a global problem. Every nation on earth is grappling with one drug or another or poly drug use. It's a situation that people are trying to arrest, and significant chunks of budgets over the world have been allocated towards dealing with the drug scourge in different societies of the world. I mean, for example, there are some countries that people put to death for any kind of drug involvement because they have understood the kind of mayhem that drug use and abuse can cause.
I think Indonesia and the US,
countries.
They actually execute you for having drugs.
Yes, sir.
That's how serious they're taking it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, because you see, the truth is, everybody, I mean, drug abuse is one of the biggest threats to any national security level or any force to protect your country. Because once you have a drug problem in a country, it stems, a lot of other problems stem from that, you know, so it's really a cause for concern the world over. I mean, you know, the number, when you look at the statistics and the number of road traffic accidents, a number of drug and alcohol related harm that has been reported, you know, it's really a cause for concern. I mean, even in the region, in some of the countries.
Most of the RTAs, like the road traffic accidents, are contributed through people alcohol abuse,
drink driving,
most of the time drunk driving.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
In terms of injury and death, it has been causing a lot of mayhem in our populations in the Caribbean.
Yes, correct. The only thing is the US and these other international these countries, the third world countries, they are better at capturing a lot of that data than we are. So, for example, if a man gets involved in a motor vehicle accident and is injured, or he dies, you hear the report from us says MVA, motor vehicle accident, but the accident may have really been secondary to drink driving or being in a state of intoxication, you know, so sometimes that information eludes us, but we know.
Coming to that, in this, is it done because in situation, I don't think we have legislation to deal with drinking and driving and people taking your blood samples or breathalyzers
Right.
to evaluate whether drivers are being under the influence
Right.
or over a limit,
Right.
because there's a percentage that you
blood alcohol,
are in your
blood
that
alcohol
you- that has to-
concentration.
yeah.
Yes. So I am aware that we have breathalyzers, but again, the legislation is not yet in place. So the police have no clout; they cannot use the breathalyzers, and I'm not sure how soon that will come on stream. But these things are there and wasting away, as it were.
Yeah, but that's an area that we need to step on the gas.
That's right.
Because right now, Dominica has a lot of vehicles. You look
Yeah.
at the amount of vehicles in the country,
Right.
and alcoholism is becoming a major problem.
Yeah,
Because everybody's drinking alcohol now.
Yep.
When we go further into the alcohol discussion,
It's
you
true.
understand what I'm
It's
talking
true.
about.
So it's a
So
cost
that
of-
means the
of-
impact
of-
of alcohol on people driving and on health.
Yeah.
Because
That's
your
it.
hospitals will be filled just now with
Yes, right.
because I personally did a study on road traffic accidents in Dominica in 1992.
Right.
Whereas you were doing community health.
Right.
And one of the things I found out, it was contributing significantly to occupation of the hospital beds,
Correct.
right?
Would expect that.
Also, the insurance companies had to be paying millions of dollars for people in the accidents.
That's correct.
So that is money. And family health was being affected.
Right.
Because sometimes a breadwinner is the person
Who's
that
impacted.
is impacted.
Yes.
He has children to support,
The domino effect.
and then they have this
Yes,
effect.
yes,
So it
yes.
is not a thing that we have to take lightly.
True. No, Scotty, so while we're on that, it also highlights the fact that the effort has to be concentrated in terms of fighting the drug squad, especially alcohol, and more so, all hands must be on deck, because so many people are left to suffer and affected by this. I mean, you look at an individual, so the alcohol will have an impact on a person, but that person lives in a family. That family is what makes up, the families make up our society. So, everybody is affected one way or the other. And so that is enough evidence for us to really get on with the fight and take it head on.
I just say the domino effect. So it's like, that's what I tell you globally.
Yeah.
Because as the data from the WHO data will tell you, like 3.3% of all deaths in the world was due to 3.3 million people.
Yeah, 3.3 million
died from alcohol and drug abuse in 2012.
Yes.
And it was contributing to almost 6% of all the deaths in the world. So it has significant impact on health, and that is why we need to give it some attention and put systems in place to manage it better than how we're doing.
Yeah, because even I saw some information that said that about 208 million people around the world engage in illegal drug use.
Drug use.
I mean, in the US alone, 23.5 million people are addicted to alcohol. And the sad reality of this is just about 11% of these people get treatment. So you can imagine the impact and the decadence that is evident in these areas. And we are no exception. The fact is, a lot of this data we do not have, but if by mere observation, in the small knitted communities that we come from, we can see the level of drug addiction and the impact that is having on the lives of our people. And
well,
so
impact from observation, you could see what happened to some people, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Some people have gone down for their jobs, the job is being affected.
Down to zero.
Their family life is being affected.
Yeah.
There's their personal health.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it has some serious impact on people's life.
Yeah.
What do you consider to be an alcoholic drink? That's the thing we need to maybe discuss.
I like
some people figure out, well, certain drinks are not alcoholic.
Are not.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. So the common feature in any alcoholic drink is the presence of ethyl alcohol or ethanol. All right. And so alcohol really is a clear, volatile, flammable liquid. And by volatile, we mean that exposed to normal temperatures, it will evaporate quickly. But it is produced through fermentation of grapes and grains. And so that is what that really makes up an alcoholic beverage. We have it in a number of forms, and I want to stress that because some people think that a guy said to me, for example, I so but I want to stress that any beverage that contains alcohol, ethanol or we call it ethyl alcohol, is an alcoholic beverage. And so wine is an alcoholic beverage because wine contains about 8% up to 20% alcohol. Beer is an alcoholic beverage because it contains from 2% to 6% alcohol. And then the liquors or spirits, that is the hard one, like the rum, the soca and the brandy and those things. They have between 40% and 50 up to 60% proof.
But as in John, because I drank alcohol is 70% proof.
Oh my goodness, God!
They call it white rum.
Yes, so yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. Yeah.
But that's the thing about alcohol, because it's just when they brew certain things.
Yes, it's the process, and some people pride themselves in trying to come up with the best rum on earth, the strongest rum. So so they'll go to great lengths to prove that. All right. Yeah, but I must say it is the ethanol or the ethyl alcohol that produces the drunken state that people experience.
So all the hard drinks like brandy, so you say brandy, whiskey, all these soca drinks, all this sort of hard rum, cane rum you get.
Yes,
they are really, and the spirits.
Yeah, so they come under liquors or spirits. And it's interesting to note that, I tell people sometimes, and some people think that it's funny, that when you go to the shop to buy alcohol, you're really buying a spirit, because the caption, the shopkeeper has to display that they are licensed, and they normally say such and such a person is licensed to sell spirits. Yeah. So it's interesting. You're buying a spirit, man.
To buy spirits and malts.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we move on to the discussion. We're talking about what are some of the reasons why people would abuse alcohol and drugs?
Yeah, well, I think the main reason for anybody to abuse alcohol, and based on observation and discussions that we have had, some information that we have gotten from research, is really to loosen up. Most people just want to engage to get high. Right. That's why they go to it. But of course, there are other reasons that stems from anything from a depression. So people take drugs to medicate. People take drugs as medication. People also take drugs to self-medicate. So a man has a Agopwell, and he thinks, you know what that is, right, Scotty? And he thinks that to deal with that, he has to go and drink, and it takes away the pain, or it takes away the feeling. Well, actually, what is happening is that the person is drowning, or attempting to drown the pain or the hurt that they experience. Some people take drugs because they're just curious. I know the story was told to me of a prominent person. I think he had a legal background in the Bahamas some years ago, whose son had died from cocaine overdose. And when they brought it to his attention, I think it was crack or cocaine. I think it was crack. They brought it to his attention, and he had come to see the very little speck of thing that had claimed his son's life. He said that couldn't be real. How could that have happened? And so, out of curiosity, he tried it, Scotty. And this prominent man in the society came down to zero. Okay. By the time his son was buried, he was in treatment for addiction. Yes, so that is, so that is as serious as it is, and curiosity does play a role. Some people do drugs because of some catastrophic event, and like case in point, Hurricane Maria. I remember doing community outreach and going for the community post Maria. And then I was engaged with a particular shopkeeper in one of our communities. And the individual was saying that they are licensed to sell alcohol, they sell alcohol. But for the first time in their lives, they found themselves indulging in alcohol. Because when that individual had looked at their situation, they had lost the roof of their home. Their country home was flat down. That's another house. And the shop was affected. The individual said they felt like they had no way out and no choice to just seek to drown this thing in a bottle of rum.
So he tried to get it off his mind.
Yes.
And that's the devastating about alcohol. Yeah. Because the problem still remains.
It remains.
So you're going to be drunk for today and tomorrow.
Right.
And when you get up on the fourth day, the same problem is there.
You see why some people have to stay drunk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, Scotty, I remember I'm speaking to a group of young men, and we had the same discussion about the reasons why people take drugs, and that idea of having a relationship issue came up. And a guy said, if, for example, when your woman leaves you, so I said, let's talk about that a little bit. So I said, okay, so you have a problem, your girlfriend or your wife, whoever has left you, that is the problem. and then you figure you want to deal with that by taking alcohol. Okay, so let's say you take a few drinks. The problem does not go away now
That
because the person has not come back.
But they have left you already.
They left you already.
So all they need is get another wife.
Right. But then I said to him, when you went on that drinking campaign, that drinking spree, did the person come back? No, sir. So I said the only difference now is that when you were sober, you had a GoPro. You're just a drunk man with a GoPro right now. It does not solve the problem.
And create more problems there for his health.
That's correct.
Eventually.
Yeah. So sometimes, Scotty, people have lost their jobs. People are going through some traumatic experience. Some people are going through some real vulnerable situation. Probably the breadwinner of the family is affected. Somebody's not well in the family, and just the thought of probably losing a loved one or seeing a loved one suffer. Some people themselves retreat and go to substances for comfort and that sort of thing. So people use it to escape problems. Some people use it because they are mentally ill. Whereas drugs and alcohol can get people to become mentally ill, but some people use drugs and alcohol because they are mentally ill.
Already mentally ill.
Yes. And while we're on that, Scotty, it's interesting to note that there are some mental diagnoses, mental health issues that stem strictly from substance abuse. You know, for example, there's alcohol-induced psychosis, where people become out of touch with reality because they are on alcohol, and it happens with other drugs as well. You know, even alcoholism itself is a disease, and you know, it's because of people not being able to control themselves, going overboard and more than they can handle.
We'll go to it.
Before you go there, Scotty, just another point, and especially for teenagers. Teenagers often want to feel the need to fit in with their peers. Belonging. Sense of belonging, and to identify. And sometimes peers can be a positive group. It can also be a negative group. And a lot of people are in trouble today. A lot of young people are in trouble today, whether it's through issue with teenage pregnancy or some deviant behavior or substance use and abuse because of the influence of their peers.
That's what you call peer pressure.
Peer pressure, negative
because they
peer
want
pressure.
to belong. They want to belong, and that's the age group, the adolescents, where they want to belong. And if you look at growing up, the whole cycle of life.
And we all have gone through that.
We all gone through it because you need to belong to a group.
Yes, man.
Right? But what is important that you belong to a group that is positive intention.
Yes, sir. Stay away from negative groups. Yeah, true. So these are just some. I mean, it's an inexhaustive list. There's just some of the reasons.
Well, as you're talking about these issues, so what are the signs that somebody that have been abusing alcohol? What are some of the signs that you could use to detect that something is going wrong with this individual?
Right. So from anything from the smell of alcohol, it's one of the drugs that you cannot take in secret. You can take it in secret, but it tells a story, it shows. So the alcoholic, you would normally take out the scent of alcohol on his person or on his breath. You would also see, for example, empty bottles of alcohol or those kinds of signs. Sometimes when people are on alcohol or other drugs, they come from a state of caring for themselves to becoming unkempt and not very untidy. The alcoholic, for example, his favorite day of the week would be Friday. His worst nightmare would probably be a Monday. So they look forward to. I think it's an alcoholic that may have coined the term TGIF. That they really look forward to the weekend. Look forward to the weekend to go on a drinking spree. So these are just some of them. But even some other, other drugs, alcohol included, you can look for a change in behavior, changing sometimes even sleeping patterns, and it's very common. Among the cocaine addicts, crack cocaine addicts, they are up at the wee hours of the morning. Excuse me. Sometimes always out there, the sleeping is disturbed. Sleep disturbed because they sometimes at nights what you find, the areas that they know that people deal crack, these guys normally go sniffing the ground to see whatever residue was left there.
Is available.
Yes, to get to pick up on a high. So also there may be evidence of mental illness, and it could be as a result, as we're saying, of substance use and abuse, or sometimes it could be what triggers substance use and abuse. In children or students, you can see deviant behaviors, a level of defiance, also truancy. Even in terms of work, the alcoholic may not necessarily want to show up for work.
Yeah, work would be affected.
Yes, work would be affected, strain on the relationship, sometimes often conflicts at home, conflicts emanating from nothing at all. Yeah, conflict on every front, you know. So these are just some signs and symptoms. We must also mention, drug paraphernalia. Okay. So for example, all of a sudden, your son is not or daughter to women, young ladies take drugs too, is not a barber or seamstress.
Well, right now, there are more women drinking rum than men in Dominica.
That's what I'm hearing, Scotty.
Yeah, you must do the research.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Because
so we need to look at that.
They're drinking more hard liquors than men.
Yeah, I'm hearing
going to some bars and see what happening.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah,
so they drink a lot of alcohol. Yeah. And alcohol is a more dangerous effect on women than even men.
Yeah, it's a fact. Drugs in general. And talking about that, we have also noticed an increase in the use and abuse of drugs, even especially during or after the Hurricane Maria. Yeah, so that's interesting to note, and we need to look at it a little more closely.
The other issue I do very cheap because the thought comes to my mind. Dental issues. Alcohol causes a lot of people to lose their teeth.
Oh, right.
Affect your oral health.
General hygiene.
Yeah, so you find a lot of the alcoholic stuff is, if you look at them, whole people did not have teeth in their mouth.
That's right. That's
you
right.
see, because it's because of the sugar interacting with your tooth and creating a serious problem.
Seriously. Good. All right, so that's important. Also, Scotty, just before we were talking about this, the issue of drug paraphernalia. And so I was making the point, for example, that people walk about with scissors. You know, you see a young man walking with a scissors in his back pocket, or your daughter have a scissors, or even a wrapper. And so this is an indication, or it's a sign that they're involved in
cut up the teeth and
cut that up in small pieces and that sort of thing.
So they walk in equipped.
Yeah, sometimes they walk with pipes and all of those things. Another telltale sign is in the case of the crack addicts. They normally use a fruiter can in the piping of the crack. You know, so sometimes you go to their room and you see, or the place that they live, a fruiter can with some goes concentrated in a particular area, a particular circular fashion. And so this is evidence. Or sometimes for no reason, you see that your loved one carries an antenna home. In some parts of the country, they were breaking up antennas from vehicles because it's metal compared to the straw or the plastic pipes that they would use. To pipe.
Filter pipe.
That's correct.
But one of the things I saw with crack and cocaine is the use of matches.
Right.
It's picky.
Plenty matches. 10,000 matches in one day.
Every day.
Yes.
And I see what that is.
A lot of light.
That's true.
Yes.
Because I have the experience with one of my brothers in that drug business. And sometimes you go in the man room, you just see the whole floor
littered
with matches.
Yeah.
Yes, that.
So
try to crack and try and
every minute, every second, try to
get
that's
trying to
get the depend on fire, the heat to produce the kind of the smoke that they're looking at. Very interesting.
And I would say he captured nicely in that song.
Yeah, very well done.
Montego Bay.
Very well done. Very well done, Picky.
We'll take a break now before we go on to the other part of the discussion.
After a hurricane, one has to face so many problems. A leaking roof is just one of the many. Are you battling to keep in control of your household moles, rats, roaches, and termites creeping through your walls? Call National Pest and Termite Control and we will get the job done. National Pest and Termite Control, 440-2352, 275-2352, or 615-4240. National Pest and Termite Control. Mam's Bakery and Supermarket is well over 20 years in existence, offering fresh bread daily, grocery items, which includes Mam's locally grown smoked chicken and smoked pork, and Caribbean cuisine on the weekends. And no doubt, Mam's Supermarket is joining in on the fun this Carnival 2018. Come visit Mom's Bar in Massac that is scheduled to open just in time for the celebration. Come on down to Mom's Supermarket Supermarket and Bakery located near the highway in Massac, and rest assured, our competitive pricing and of course the compelling aroma of the oven is gonna keep you coming back every day of the week. Mom's Supermarket.
And as we continue, Malcolm, on the discussion, because we have been dealing with issues of alcohol, you know, you look at the signs and symptoms of somebody, so that people can understand, family members can understand when they see certain signs that something is wrong with that person.
Yeah.
Also, you're looking at what are some of the physical consequences of drinking alcohol and drugs.
Good. All right. It stems from anything from motor vehicular accidents. As I said, there is concern that sometimes we don't capture it. But yes, a lot of our road fatalities and road accidents are caused or as a result of drinking. And we can know it because a lot of these things are concentrated around festive seasons. We are more prone to having accidents, reporting of accidents around Fed time, you know, and these kinds of things. So that is an indication. Of course, there are some illnesses that come about, and sometimes they may not necessarily come about, but can be aggravated by drug and alcohol use. I mean, alcohol is associated closely with sugar diabetes and hypertension. Alcohol is a drug we know that is also strongly linked with cirrhosis of the liver. All right, so there'll be damage to organs in the body. Alcohol affects every organ in the body. That's clear. There's issues of sexual problems, interaction of medication with drugs. That is also very common and very dangerous. And some people are aware of that, Scotty. So what they do is, when they know that they're about to be drinking, or they want to be drinking and fetting and partying, men in general like to put away their medication, their blood pressure medication or their sugar diabetes medication, to replace that with drinking. So they say when the fet is over, they'll go back to the medication. All right, but their condition can be aggravated by the presence and the use of alcohol.
Because you remember, you have certain drugs that in your system and needs to be in your system.
Yes,
to manage hypertension and
that's
diabetes.
Correct. Yes.
If you stop it and then you go to alcohol, which is a drug that's going to affect your liver, your kidney,
all
your
the
pancreas.
organs. Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be to your betterment.
Yeah.
So you cannot be suspending your treatment.
Right.
And say you're going to fed for 2 days and I come back to my medication.
Sometimes you never come back.
It's natural.
And sometimes you come back and you're never the same again for life.
So you'll be crippled.
Yeah, so it's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. I mean, alcohol is also a drug, for example, that is associated with the most kinds of cancers in the human body. So people have to be mindful of those things. Notwithstanding, for example, that marijuana have medicinal properties, but that has to, people have to understand that the same thing that can help you can kill you. And the same goes for medication. Right. You know, there are side effects, all right? And there's this issue of intoxication, for example, even alcohol poisoning. And this is a harsh reality, that when somebody drinks and they are overboard, they go into vomiting and nausea and all of those things, you know? So they do have their effects and their physical effects on the body. They do have their effects on relationship and maintaining of law and order in a society and even in the home, you know. So
that's some of the social things you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, the social effects of alcohol itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're talking about broken relationships. Yeah. You know, people not being able to conform to laws and to follow law and order. You know, these are some of the social impacts. Even the strain on the social services. Because, Scotty, when you have a number of people in a drunken state and have to be maintained and taken care of by the medical professionals, and put a strain on even on the police dealing with conflict and all of those things. And this is deducing from the country and the society the kind of impact, positive impact that these services should have, where, you know, people are genuinely in need. Well, everybody's in need, even if you're compromised by alcohol, but it puts a further strain on the system, and it's avoidable.
Yeah, and scarce resources that you have.
Scarce resources.
Remember, you don't have a lot of resources to deal with these problems.
Yes.
And if you get one more, you get themselves involved and become alcoholics. It's a very dangerous strain on your population.
That's correct.
And also the other drug addicts in the society.
Yeah. And not even that, or additionally talking about productivity and work. Because if we are engaged in a field of work, and one of our colleagues or two of our colleagues are compromised and always drunk or on drugs, then it puts a burden on the rest of us to bear. And that person is not contributing to build, but it's actually breaking down.
Yeah, and a lot of energies have to go from you now to try and get that individual back.
A lot of frustration.
Back on track.
Lot of energy.
So it's like that is why you're talking about it's a lot of wasted energy.
Yep.
So what do we have in place to support people with drugs and alcohol?
Okay, even before we go to that, Scotty, just another thing that we need to mention. Sometimes people become social recluse, that they are isolated in terms of the social impact. And something that we must also recognize, the issue of violence in our society. A lot of that, violence against women, violence against children, spousal abuse, and all of a lot of this comes about because of drug use and abuse. All right. Now, in terms of what is in place, okay, so we have a department that the government has set up specifically to deal with issues of substance use and abuse. For a matter of fact, we have been mandated by the state to significantly reduce the demand for drugs on the Dominican society. So that is in place. We do as many things as organizing, creating, supporting anti-drug programs. We have a drug demand reduction strategy, and that is what we're embarking on, trying to put the people on a path to sustainable growth and development free from drug abuse. So we have the drug abuse prevention unit. There's a level of counseling that goes there. We give support. We also promote alternatives to substance use and abuse, seeking to get people to engage in employment, because even sometimes people do drugs because they're idle and they are unemployed, and all of those things. We're trying to promote sports and culture as viable alternatives to drug abuse, especially for youngsters.
Drug and sports, that's another thing we have to look at.
They should not be married.
Should be married.
Should not be married.
We have a situation where you have some sportsmen feel they can take the marijuana or take their
enhancing drugs.
They take their sport. And apart from that, but they take drink their rum before they go to play a game. So we have to see how we can stem that out of sports in Dominica.
True.
Because we can promote drugs and sports.
It has been reported. I cannot vouch for that a lot of sportsmen in the region, when they go out to play, when they go out to represent their countries or the Caribbean or whatever, they always spend a great time, a great portion of their time away fetting and enjoying themselves. And when they come to perform, then they are found wanting. They cannot, So that is another issue for consideration.
And what is your carnival message? Because remember, we're right over the height of the carnival season.
Okay,
what are some of the messages out there now?
Just before we go into that, I also, in terms of what help is available, I also want to say a little thing on that, just before we go into the carnival message. There are different stakeholders playing a role, and we must always highlight that. For example, especially after Maria, we have had to be reassigned. So we have a lot of marriage in terms of intergovernmental agencies. So we have been partnering with health promotion, partnering with environmental health, and so on, putting one message out there, letting people know that life can be better, and life can be better if you take measures to ensure that you live a healthy lifestyle and all of those things. And drugs play a role in that. We also have at the school level, school guidance counselors who continue to do a great job with our school population. So we must also highlight the work of the many relief agencies that are on island, because what they do and the work that they do, and whether it's to build a house or to provide some water for somebody or relief items, it is really reducing the vulnerability of our people. And when people are vulnerable and have been affected by disasters like we just had, they tend to use substances more. So if people can be housed and fed and be taken care of, it reduces their vulnerability, and so it lessens their likelihood for engaging in drug abuse and that sort of thing.
But like you recognize the importance of the relief agencies and the relief that coming in from the donors all around the world. I think Dominica have been blessed with that. And
thankful for that.
And people need to be thankful. Thank God every day. Every day I have to praise God, because I find we have been really blessed from the international agencies.
Cool. No, so for the carnival message, we want to make a quick comment on HIV/AIDS, the spread of HIV/AIDS and drugs, because people, when they drink, they tend to lose their sense of judgment and reasoning. Their judgment, as it were, is impaired. So the people who would not normally engage in risky sexual behaviors sometimes find themselves in that situation. They are compromised, they are drunk. Sometimes when people are on drugs, they have a greater urge to engage in sexual activity. And because of being compromised by the drug and the intoxication in their system, sometimes they do not rationalize and say, you know what, first off, this is not my partner. Or secondly, he or she could be a sexually, an infected, HIV infected person. All right. The other thing,
apart from HIV, you have other
STIs. Exactly. or the other thing is the person even fails to consider that I'm going to engage in a sexual activity. Do I have a condom? Am I strapped? Does he or she carry a condom? And that sort of thing. So all of those sense of reasoning is lost by virtue of the fact that the person is on drugs, and that exposes them to the risk of being HIV infected and to continue the spread of HIV. I mean, even separate and apart from that, there is what we call intravenous drug use. And fortunately for us, they said that black people don't like needles. So as far as intravenous drug use is concerned, it is not something that is on the rise among it's heroin abusers, and normally it's not our race that get so involved. I mean, there are a few follow fashion type of people out there who will, but it is not widespread in among black people, really. But the thing is, people have to take responsibility for themselves and responsibility for others as far as sex is concerned and as alcohol and drugs are concerned. So, for example, the carnival message: if you plan to drive or to operate machinery, you should not drink. If you're a pregnant person or you are nursing, whether you're pregnant or nursing, you should not drink. You know, if you are on medication that can interact with alcohol and other drugs, you should not take those drugs. Do not compromise your health. Do not compromise your well-being for a day of partying or 2 days of fete in Carnival. All right, there are some conditions that people have that can be aggravated by the use of alcohol and other drugs. If you are one of those persons, then drugs and alcohol, they are not for you. And I'm asking people to not be selfish. You know, sometimes people think of the high and the good feeling that they're going to get, and they forget the pain and the suffering and the sorrow that they will leave behind. You know, the wife who cares, or the husband who cares, and the children who depend on you. You know, for whatever reason that they are yours, and you have to take care of them. And it's always good to be there for a long time, to see them grow and develop and to make you proud in the long run. And so we want people to stop thinking of themselves and think of others. And if we think of others more, we'll realize that our actions and our attitudes, our behaviors can have a significant impact, negative impact on people. It can be positive if we choose for it to be that way. But once we go down the route of drug and alcohol, then the result is negative. And it's not something that we really, really want in our society.
Yes, Malcolm, I think you have given us a real good education today about drugs and drug abuse.
Yes, sir.
And what can be done by you. Because basically, I think the responsibility for your health lies with you. So Dominicans and people further in diaspora,
yes, sir,
we are just urging you that health is wealth, and you need to take on that responsibility and maintain your health at all costs.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
The pleasure was mine, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Great stuff.